Good morning and welcome to day 19 of Start Strong. And this is week 4. We are in the final stretch, just 3 days more. Week 1 was about setting the tone in your classroom. Week 2 was about building the routines. Week 3, we deepened the work that we were already doing. And week 4 is about how to anchor and sustain this, the entire challenge. How do you keep the momentum alive beyond the first month? Because here's what happens in most classrooms. Teachers start very strong in June, hold the line for 2 to 3 weeks, and then life happens. A long weekend disrupts the entire rhythm. School even throws off the schedule. You might get tired. Students push back, and slowly the routines you build start to slip. By week 5 or week 6, the classroom looks nothing like it did in week 1, and you are back to managing chaos. So this week, we are talking about sustainability. How do you anchor what you have built so it doesn't fall apart when things get hard? And today's practice is the foundation of sustainability. This is to protect your consistency. Here is what I mean. When school starts in June, you're going to build routines. You will build entrance routine, question system, transition signal from what you will do from one activity to another, submission system, help seeking system, and these routines will work as long as you hold them consistently. But here's the test. What do you do when you get tired, when you're running late, when you just want to get through the lesson? Do you let the entrance routine slide because you don't have the energy to reset it? Do you let students shout out answers because it's faster than waiting for, raising hands? Do you skip the transition signal because you are behind on the syllabus? So these are the moments when most teachers lose it. Not because the routines don't work, but because, they stop holding them. So here is the practice. In week 4 and beyond, commit to holding your routines consistently, even when it gets hard, and especially when it gets hard, because consistency is what makes the routines. It's what that looks like on the days when you're tired, when you're frustrated, when you just want to power through the lesson. That's when you hold the line the hardest. If students walk in chaotic on a Monday after a long weekend, you don't ignore it, you reset. We've been doing this for 3 weeks. You know the entrance routine, let's try that again. If students start shouting out answers in week 5, you don't let it slide. You stop right there and you tell them, we don't just shout out in this class, raise your hand, I will call on you. You hold the line every single time without any exceptions. Because here's the truth. Students are always testing whether the routines still matter. Not because they are bad, but because they are kids. They are trying to figure out, does this teacher mean what they say? Or was that just a week 1 thing? And the answer to that question determines whether your classroom starts and stays strong or falls apart. So here's what you need to understand. Consistency is not about being perfect. Consistency is all about being reliable. You don't need to enforce every single routine flawlessly every single day. You are human, you will slip sometimes. But when you slip, you acknowledge it and reset. I will let that slide yesterday. That was my mistake. Today, we are going back to the routine, and you keep going again. So because when students see that routines are negotiable, they don't do it. When they see that routines are not negotiable, that they don't disappear when things get hard, they stop testing it. They start following it. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, Shiva, this sounds very exhausting. How do I stay consistent for the entire year? Here's the truth. It's exhausting for the first month, but after that, it gets easier. Because once the routines are anchored in place, once students internalize that this is how the class works, you don't have to enforce them as much. Students start holding themselves accountable. But you only get to that point if you protect your consistency in the early weeks. Try this today. Visualize the moment when you're tired, when you're behind, when you just want to skip the routine. Picture yourself in that moment. Picture yourself stopping, resetting, and holding the line. And ask yourself, am I willing to protect my consistency even when things get hard in this classroom? Even when things get hard with the students? Because that's the moment that determines whether your classroom stays strong all year or falls apart by the 3rd week. I'll see you tomorrow for day 20. This is Shiva.